Maybe end of '69, I guess. We moved from Daly City over here to Berkeley. And Berkeley was, you know, totally wide open. Nobody wanted to live down here. Right on the railroad tracks, right? Who wanted to live here? There was all these artist studios that connected together. You could just open the door and go from one to the other, and so we were playing there all the time.
There was this creativity. I mean, you could taste it, you could smell it. It's what everyone, I mean, it was what everything else was wrapped around.
Yeah, that's 5th and Cornelia Street. I wasn't interested in putting that much energy into the music. I was much more fascinated with and I was much more curious about this other part of myself, my mind.
I just really have a recollection of them not just being like watching you, you know, when you watch a little kid and the little kid does whatever they do and you're an adult and you do your thing. But they would like get down and, you know, really play with us, which, you know, was a blast.
So I was interested in going, you know, gardening and being with my sons, hanging out with my kids.
People smoked dope, like cigarettes, every day, all day. That was normal. They played music, they smoked dope, they did drugs, they drank, they got really fucked up, they passed out.
I was trying meditation, and I was around Suzuki Roshi at the Zen Center, and, you know, Hindu thing, and Kundalini Yoga. And all of them were more like just getting high to me. And I was already getting high, you know. So I didn't need that. I could do that real quick with a drug.
I'd like to introduce Trungpa Rinpoche.
I went to a talk in Berkeley, and there he was sitting in a blue silk cowboy shirt, drinking a Coca-Cola and smoking a cigarette. And just the most incredible thing I'd ever heard. It was like somebody was reading my mind. I had never told anybody the things that he was saying, what I thought.
You know, it was like little fireworks going off, you know. Sort of watched your mind explode.
Friends and good friends, you're all welcome. I'm so pleased that you are here.
I guess like a lot of people at that time, I wished he would have been a safe little Buddhist teacher. I remember walking down the street one thinking, why couldn't I just find this, you know, teacher who was going to help me drop out and be a yogi in a cave? Instead, I got this guy who's saying, no, that's not good enough. We have to go and we have to try to help create an enlightened society, and we have to work with other people, and you have to stay in your profession, and you have to work with the people in your, you know, make your whatever it is you do better.
There was a group of students living in Berkeley that studied and practiced together. And in fact, the center, the first Shambhala center that I went to was in Jerry's garage.
This was '73. I put out the word that I was sitting every day, and so people would come and sit with me at 7 o'clock in the morning. And it grew out of that. And I asked Rinpoche if he would just bless it. And he did a full-on blessing, like you would do for any major thing. Gave a talk. There was 100 people out on the street.
Music had taken a backseat because of his work in his individual Dharma practice and his work for the Dharma at a seminal time in the establishment of Buddhism in North America.
Working with Rinpoche and trying to build that world or contribute to that world was very important.
Jackie was great. you know, these two wonderful kids and this great thing, and grew apart, you know. We didn't, I think it was more partially her realizing that she needed to do some stuff for herself. And the marriage was over. The only painful part was me hanging on to it, or us hanging on to it, not knowing how to end it. I then realized that I was trained as a performer in my life, and that missing it isn't the right word, but it's what I did, you know? And it started to become that more than anything else. It just became what I do. Mose Allison called me. I was sitting in my kitchen and I was thinking of Mose Allison, and the phone rang and said, "Hey Jerry, you want to play? You feel like playing again?" My marriage had broken up, and I just came home and I'd have my kids and I'd stay home and then go out on the road, and kept doing. Mose was like my way back into performing. About 75, 76, Rinpoche started talking about me leaving California and coming to Colorado and getting more involved in the Rope Institute, and I did.
He was centrally involved in the creation of the music program at the Naropa Institute. He was teaching Shambhala training and meditation, but mostly involved in domestic life, keeping a pretty low profile. I'd say, you know, he wasn't really playing very much, but he was very involved in the teaching.
There I began to teach the things that really, really have had a profound influence on, like that artistic process class. I got to work with artists and dancers, and you know, we're talking like Barbara Dilley, Arwana Hayashi, Allen Ginsberg, William Burroughs, Gregory Corso. All the great poets were there, and all the great musicians came. You know, so it was. And then from then on, I was really like committed. Or, you know, so teaching was something that happened to me. Jim Knapp offered me a job at Cornish Institute in Seattle, where he put together a great faculty of Gary Peacock, Julian Priester, Jay Clayton, Art Landy, and Ralph Towner.
At Cornish, he kind of carved out his thing. He had this rhythm class that you had to take 2 years of that was required. That was just like, you know, white knuckle fear for everybody.
You have to be hard. You have to be unforgiving. You have to try to demand this discipline. Otherwise, you're cheating them, because the world, they won't be prepared to go out into the world. And while I was teaching at Naropa, I met a great young dancer named Nina Seabolt, and her and I got married, and after about 5 years, that started to come apart.
I cannot thank her and my father enough for getting divorced when they did, and deciding that getting divorced was the only way that they could be parents to me, really, and really good parents to me.
You know, the Vajrayana, or the Buddhist path, is not about, or it's about sanity, but you have to go through a lot of stuff to get to any kind of sanity. Rinpoche said, you're going to have to go through more stuff than you even think about. And I started to go through some things there, you know.
The death of a great teacher is like the breaking of a vase. And when the vase breaks, then that air mixes with all of the air. And therefore, because something is not somewhere, one place, then in fact it can be every place.